We are recording.
With sound on tonight.
Yes.
No sound last time.
Well, apparently it came unplugged and nobody knew it, and so we were all on camera, but nobody could hear what we were saying. So, welcome everybody, and thank you for being here tonight. We just really have one mission tonight, and that is to look at all of the new subdivisions, apartment buildings that are coming in and being proactive in identifying to which school we would recommend to the board that they be assigned, so that we don't have to go through the rezoning process again so soon. So before we get started, can we start with you, Bob, and can we just go around the table and introduce ourselves?
Bob Jones, trustee.
Sorry, Lori.
Sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, that was short and quick. Lori Yarbrough, the clerk treasurer for the city of Apple.
And a parent.
And a parent, yes.
I'm Linda Kraft. I'm a special education teacher at John Brown Elementary. Christine Corey, parent.
Christine Corey, parent.
Amy Kemp, grandparent.
Randy Bain, school board trustee and parent of a Timberlake grad.
Dawn Eaton, deputy city clerk for Spirit Lake. And my daughter graduated from Timberlake in 16. I graduated here in 95. So, been here forever.
Mary Conrath, former graduate myself, 2 sons who graduated, and teacher for 30 plus years.
More than 33, because that's where I am, and you've been here longer.
Jennifer Feld, I'm a parent, and I also graduated from Lakeland.
Suzanne Gallis, and parent. Celeste Sutton, I'm a parent.
Jason Bradbury, teacher, had kids go through, all the way through, I'm getting older.
Jessica Grantham, CFO. I have 2 kids in the middle school.
Lisa Arnold, superintendent. Both of my girls graduated from Lakeland, K-12 Lakeland kids. So our most important hat that we wear is the parent hat. So we try to look at everything that we do through that lens, making sure we're taking good care of kids. So that's part of this work, is trying to identify for parents before they get too far down the process of buying something or leasing something, that they know where their kids are going to school so that they're informed. Leon apparently is out of town, and he has the maps for the Rathdrum area, and we kind of, he pulled up the GIS maps last time, and he knew exactly where everything was, so we just went back to the notes and identified the things that we talked about. But our job tonight is to look at each of these and identify for the board our recommendation for which school we would attach that subdivision or apartment building to. So we'll start with the ones that we've identified in Rathdrum, and then we have our Spirit Lake and Apple experts here to help us identify the areas of growth for those 2 schools, and our middle school and high school. So the subdivision that's going in behind the Lions Club, I can't remember what that's called.
We have numbers on that.
Did we put numbers on that one?
I think that was the meeting before. Let me see if I can find it.
I think currently it's zoned for Garwood. And Jessica's not here, so.
Is it a subdivision or apartment complex?
Subdivision.
Subdivision.
They've already got some homes that are going in there. In fact, we've got a couple of parents who, because it's zoned for Garwood, until the board makes a decision, they're going to Garwood. And we need to get that dialed in.
Is that Westwood Plains? Is that what they're calling it?
That doesn't sound right.
It might be.
I wrote down 250 units Viking, and then multi off of 53. I know that's the Hayden homes in Viking. They're right next to each other there.
Right behind, okay, so 250 homes?
So 250
It's like 2 different developments, isn't it?
That's the-
But they're right
Hayden,
next.
they're right next to each
The
other.
Viking ones have gone in first, and
Viking.
then The Hayden homes are kind of,
So-
there's a couple of them in
So,
there.
you alright, Bob? We don't wanna do CPR.
Bob's really got something to say now.
We'll wait.
He's really excited about this.
Good job, Bob.
Did you have something to add?
Is it possible to like write down or
I think
say-
that was this, or was that the Singer Road one?
No, Singer was, they haven't done it
They
yet,
haven't
they're
done
still
that.
working on the plat, and that's just gonna be a few homes, that's the Singer family that's subdividing their property.
They're
Where
working
the-
on the
where the-
annexation for
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that one's
That's
still
all
in
this
the works.
sucks.
Yeah.
Is it possible to write down or just to say, I don't have anything to write down on, but about approximately how many spots we still have left at each of the schools?
I can pull that up for you, it's on our website.
Just, I mean, that way when we're talking about it, we can know, oh, Garwood has 50, you know, pulling out of my head, 50 spots, but there's a potentially
Where the current
25 in this
students go.
neighborhood.
Jessica was right, it's Westwood
Right.
Pines.
I was.
Oh, nice affirmation, Jessica.
You're done for the
I just happen to know somebody.
Thank you.
Okay, so here are our numbers. Now remember that this open spot, that's for people out of the district, not for our people. But, and I don't have a grand total, but I do here.
Do it
I can
quick.
do it here.
How do you estimate how many kids might potentially come from X number of houses?
That's a very good question.
He says he always says that you can't really tell. Well,
Right.
Leon said that a few times. You don't really know what's gonna go once it's developed.
And it depends on the demographic that moves into that building.
And the cost of the homes.
House
Mhm.
was estimating for apartments, it's 1 in every 3 is a family with children. So that's-
One child, it's actually one child, not one family, one child in every 3
Yeah.
units for an apartment.
Do we know how many kids we have from the new Lancaster apartments? And the bus is picking them up probably, and they're going to John Brown.
It's actually not a
That's
lot
not very
from the
many.
apartments at all.
None?
It's just a small handful of kids.
Oh.
Too expensive.
Yeah.
There's 50 homes in that Westwood.
But they're also
Would
not
have
all
helped
moved
if
into
Jessica
yet.
were
If Jessica was here.
I'm gonna text her. If we pull up Transfinder, I don't think we can look
I
like
can't
she
get on
can.
the backside of it,
Yeah. I don't think so.
which is where you get all the numbers from.
Okay, so here's the enrollment. Currently, John Brown is at 342, and you know, they can get up to 500 kids. They've had more than 500 kids in that building before. Garwood is at 405. They too can get up to 500. We'd like everybody to be around 400. And Betty Kiefer's at 386, and they
Lisa, how
also.
many of the, how many kids are doing inter-transfer, like, you know, they were mad about Majestic and they asked to go to Garwood and got approved? Do we know how many?
I think we only had 2 kids that went back to Garwood, because they had one open spot
Okay,
at that grade level.
so not a lot.
Nope. So John Brown definitely has room. If we're looking at this one, the behind Lions Club, 250 units, and those are good size homes. I'm not anticipating those are going to be inexpensive.
No, we're not very concerned at the middle school, high school level as far as number goes. It's
Well,
really,
we are, but we can't do anything about that until we run a bond and
Mhm.
add to Timberlake Middle School.
so the main concern is where do we disperse those kids the best
Right,
at the
for
elementary
elementary.
level?
Mhm. And then that will be part of once we get the survey back, so at the strategic planning committee meeting that we had a few weeks ago, we came up with questions, that I'm gonna take to the board in 2 weeks. I'm gonna share the questions with them and then get input from the board as to, whether or not they're comfortable with the questions we came up with, if they wanna tweak them. And then we'll send a survey out, but it will get to the heart of, does this community support adding on to our schools, running a bond, all of those kinds of questions. Where are we as a community? Because that, in my mind, that secondary is the more critical piece right now. Our elementary numbers are actually going down instead of up because our little people.
Population is-
We just don't have the kindergartners and first graders coming. So Lakeland High School, the last 2 years in a row, have added 100 kids each year to their enrollment. And Lakeland Middle School continues to be high. So if we could redraw those attendance boundaries and move some kids north, it would help Lakeland High School, Lakeland Middle School. But we can't do that until we add on to Timberlake Middle.
Okay. So Timberlake Middle is really our crucial spot, right?
Because we've got a portal right now.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. So, any concern about recommending to the school board that we would suggest the subdivision north of 53 near the Lions Club to be zoned to John Brown rather than Garwood?
Makes sense.
They're closer to John Brown.
They're closer to John Brown. It might even be within your 1 mile, or is it?
No. And we wouldn't, even if it was, I as a parent, I wouldn't want my child walking 53 to school.
Okay.
So there would be some safety concerns there. So even if it was less than 1.5 miles, I think we could make a case for safety busing.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
You don't want them out on that route.
Okay, let's see if there are others. We'll come back to the Betty Kiefer ones. Settlement Mountain, that was Betty Kiefer. So this is south of Brookshire. And it's an apartment. So 250 apartment units. Which I suppose if our statistics hold true, that's like 80 kids. If Post Falls and Rathdrum is the same.
That's the railway Ballantree that you were talking.
You said south of Berkshire, right?
Yeah.
This is the one on the east side of Meyer, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
The one that hasn't broke ground yet?
Yes. Yeah, this is, remember, Leon said there was
Is it on the south side of the railroad tracks?
there was an apartment going in.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, they're pushing,
Just right next to
take Brookshire all the way to the railroad.
No, that's what, we're trying to get ahead of all this so that when people move in, they know where
That's
they're going.
Kenosha Lake.
That's part of, well, that's what I was just gonna ask, cause now they're here it's here twice. Is Kenosha Lane the same as
I think
Railway and
Kenosha is the
Ballantree?
ones there by Kootenai.
I have Kenosha. I think that's the southwest of 41.
Oh, by
And
by
Lancaster?
Kootenai,
By Kootenai.
Yeah,
Electric.
they're
Okay.
different.
Okay, so Meyer in Wyoming, this Hollis Woods, that's the additional subdivision south of Brookshire.
Oh, okay.
Hollis Woods?
That's the one where they're putting the infrastructure in and some fencing, but no houses yet. Cause I think he said they didn't even have permits for the houses yet.
Right.
Right, and that's on the west side of,
West side of Meyer down to the tracks.
Mhm.
yeah.
I remember.
And R1, and I have preliminary plat. They just turned in their preliminary plat.
Yeah, he didn't have any numbers for that yet.
So
He was
both,
supposed to bring them tonight.
both of these two are south of Brookshire. Kind of in that same general vicinity.
And one's technically Garwood, one's technically Betty Keithler. They're on opposite sides of Meyer, correct?
Opposite sides of
Correct. Yeah, so the one on the east side of Meyer would be Garwood, and is that the,
That's the
250
250
apartments.
that haven't broke ground, okay. Got it.
and then Meyer, so Meyer and Wyoming would be Betty Kiefer is what you're saying, cause this is
Mhm.
west of Meyer. Okay, so let's deal with this one, Railway and Ballantree. It is south of Brookshire, and Brookshire is currently going to Garwood.
Yes.
There's also a bunch of houses being built right there as well. It's just south of
Around the apartments.
Berkshire that are already being built, but I'm not sure what what it's called.
It's Berkshire South.
It's just Berkshire.
Yeah, it's not as big as Berkshire, it's a smaller, yeah, I don't know how many houses, but it's not that big.
Smaller lots as well, isn't it?
They are, yeah, yeah, we have the bigger lots on the other side.
Smaller lots might mean more affordable homes.
Mhm.
Yeah, they did bring in some, smaller houses, like they did in Majestic on Berkshire South, so probably more like young couples, I would think, you know, trying to get into a house. Whereas Brookshire, like where we're at, is more, I think, family focused, really, a lot of those.
Okay, so we're really talking about these two, Railway and Ballantree, and then Brookshire South. What makes the most sense as far as zoning?
It seemed silly to send buses in there to take kids out from Garwood and then take buses out, kids to different, but the numbers.
Yeah.
But again, you don't know.
Right.
So how easy is it to add to John Brown? I know Garwood is so great this year having the kids have space, and it's so great having where the kindergarten room was last year that's now a special needs room, and it's so amazing having that extra space there. It's the feel is so much different this year than last year. So comfortably, how many more kids could Brookshire take?
Good Garwood.
Could Garwood take?
I mean Garwood.
Well, it's really, so the question really is, and this is kind of this board has been pretty strong in their desire to have small class sizes. So when I was the principal at Betty Kiefer, we had 550 kids at Betty Kiefer, Garwood had 550 kids, and John Brown had 550 kids. And none of our kids were in closets or those small spaces. We just had larger class sizes. And so that would be our reality is that our class sizes would start creeping up. So I guess what I'm saying is we can put 550 kids in each of those 3 buildings because they were designed for that. But then you're talking, 24, 25 first graders in a classroom, and which is more than what the board would like to see, but not outside of the realm of possibility, I suppose.
That's a great question for when they send out those cards is, what would you like to see under 30, under 20, and let parents decide, so that way if a bond goes out, we can put, this is for low class sizes, like you want it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need to get to the heart of what people are wanting, so that we know what
Because
they'll
some parents
support.
may not care, you might have a 5th grader and go, oh, it doesn't really bother me, but you might have a kindergartner and say, yeah, my kid struggles already, I can't imagine 30 kids.
I wouldn't want to be a
Kindergarten
kindergarten teacher.
teacher.
It's already a little bit like herding cats when you teach kindergarten. That's when you have 20 of them.
When I look at that, I see Twin Lakes having a very small enrollment, and I know that that was partially by design for space with Spirit Lake and Ethel, but looking at that list, it kind of seems like John Brown and Garwood and Betty Kiefer are going to take
The majority of the
of
kids.
it, and so what does that
Okay,
look
so
like
can
for
we-
Spirit Lake, Ethel, and Twin Lakes?
So, yeah, we need to look at what kind of growth are they experiencing up north.
Right. And the other thing that I think is important to remember for Twin, so Betty Kiefer, John Brown, and Garwood were all built to have 3 classrooms at each grade, K6. We only have K5 in there now. Twin Lakes was only designed to have 2 classrooms at each grade level, so it's a smaller space. Spirit Lake has been added on so many times, and Athol as well, so I would have to go back and look.
Around 400, I think.
Yeah, I would have to go back and look to see how many classrooms per grade level they would have. But that's part of that equation. But you're right, so if we were looking at how do we shift some kids to Twin, I don't know how to do that based on where these
Yeah, they're all.
subdivisions are.
You'd have to
They're all in Fowler.
That's where, if we knew where the growth is around Spirit Lake and Athol, how many of those, if Spirit Lake and Athol are going
Right,
to
we can shift
balloon,
down.
could possibly balloon, what can we siphon off to the north sides to Twin?
Yep. But I don't know if there's a way to move any of these southern groups up.
No, I don't think, viably, no, I don't think there is. It would, that would cause a lot of
It
hard
would be a
feelings.
transportation
Yeah,
nightmare
it'd be a
too.
transportation nightmare.
Which goes back to, wasn't there land designated in Brookshire for another elementary?
Yeah, but it's hard right now to go to the board and have a conversation about running a bond for an elementary school when none of our elementary schools are full right now.
Yeah. But just with the growth keep happening, right, with the subdivisions
Right,
happening on
right.
that south side, that is still
Yep, and then.
hard, it is still legitimate that that's happening there, not.
Correct.
We
But the
haven't-
problem is we just don't know how many kids are coming
We
because.
haven't had consistent overall overcrowding to warrant that yet.
No. No, and we've had huge boons of growth with homes going in, like that whole Thayer Farm south of Betty Kiefer, and Betty Kiefer hasn't really been impacted. Garwood definitely was a little bit with its growth, but they're just not coming with kids, and so it's really hard to know for sure. So the best thing I think that we can do is try to be balanced in this, and then we'll have to, at some point, the need to go to the community and say, okay, we're crowded and we're gonna need another school, will present itself. I
Cause when we
guess.
redrew those lines, that was the easy shift of, like, when we moved Hauser people over, tried to accommodate potentially what was coming.
Yep.
Historically, do they wait until things are overcrowded before making a decision on adding another school or running the bond for that? That takes a while too, you gotta wait for the election.
Right, that's
You know,
that's
that's
like
not
a
a quick
3-year,
fix.
it's a
You have to
3-year
build a
process
school.
for sure, from start to finish.
Of building
When you,
too. Okay.
But it would be, in this economic climate, without a true need, it would be really hard to convince our community members that we need another school.
And the space in Brookshire is not big enough for a high school or middle school
It's just
campus.
a 10-acre lot for Lone Tree Elementary.
What's the land that Lakeland has that's next to the college there?
There, we have 38, almost 39 acres there, and it was, the board purchased it, with the desire of putting a high school out there so that there was closer proximity to K-Tech and then Parker Center.
The middle school would go to the high school. That's neat.
But that's no longer, that land is no longer considerable for a high school in the future?
Oh yeah, no, we still own it. We can put whatever we want on it. We, you know, that when they bought it, that was their thinking, was they were gonna create this.
It requires a bond though, and we can hardly get our levies to pass.
That was the bond that failed in grade 2019.
Yeah. And a big part of the huge fail was there wasn't really any information that went out to the community, so people weren't really sure why we needed it, why it was such a huge amount. But it is there. And when we ran that bond, the committee recommended to the board that we run it to put a high school and move Mountain View out there, and the transportation department. Because the transportation department, where it is right now, is a nightmare with the high school and the middle school across the street from each other. They have a really hard time getting their buses out. When I'm coming to work, I will stop and I'll hold traffic up so that the buses can get out.
You're one of those.
Worked fine in the
am.
80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Don't it.
Whenever, yeah, when we had like 1,700 people
So
living
you're the
here.
one I flipped off the other
Possibly, but our bus drivers are not flipping me off. Nope. Okay,
Keep in mind that, when Twin Lakes was built, there used to be the relief valve for any and all schools that existed at that time. Primarily Athens, Spirit Lake, but also including Garwood. So I don't know, we may take another look at the Garwood situation, or we might want to go back and take a look to see whether or not that subdivision behind the Lions Club maybe should go to Twin Lakes.
That's what I was thinking.
I would too, is that even?
And is there anything northwest of Garwood that could
Well,
then
that
be
would be-
filtered to Twin?
that would require us rezoning. Let's not do that.
I mean, it's not terrible. You would just have to come here.
Yeah, they just basically go to the light and then go north up 41.
Well, this is Meyer here, if we're looking at the stuff behind the Lions Club.
Right, but if you came 53 up to the stoplight and turned
That's
across
still
the
better
bridge.
than what we were doing with the Hauser kids, all the way to Twin.
It shows on, just like doing the math real quick on the Google Maps, it shows from Lions Club, that address, to Twin Lakes and then to Garwood, it's 0.1 mile difference. So if they were already planning to drive to Garwood, they would add 0.1 miles to Twin Lakes, that's it.
That's why we like having Christine on right. Okay, so I'm going to change this to Twin.
You have people buying houses in it there right now because it's owned to Garwood.
I know. That's why we need to get on this so that we can get the word out to realtors that they're not going to be going to Garwood. Okay, so
They'll like Twin,
yeah, they will like
Twin
Twin.
would be fine.
Do
at least the building.
I think I heard somebody say for Railway and Ballantree for that apartment unit and our apartment complex, and then Brookshire South, that it would make sense to send those kids to Garwood because Brookshire is going to Garwood.
Just hope it's not too big of a number.
I mean,
Well,
because.
that was
But
part
it
of the
makes
reason.
sense.
Yeah, it does, but because of the apartments, and we don't have a clue how many kids would be in those apartments, but if they're already gonna be stopping basically across the street to pick the kids up from the Hollis Woods, you could potentially have those apartments with the Hollis Woods kids going.
Okay, so let's talk about that because we've got apartments that are going in behind Betty Kiefer. Did he say how many units there were? Jennifer, did you take notes?
Is there
on
an
that one?
entrance off of Meyer into Brookshire South though? Is there a planned entrance
I
off
don't
of
have
Meyer?
any
Are we talking about
numbers
I don't
for
think-
Hollis
Yeah.
Woods.
No.
I don't think he knew because
He
they
didn't,
were
he said he was
turning
gonna
in their
bring them to-
plats. They
yeah.
were expecting that plat.
He said he'd have to sit down and figure it out by the
Oh, I think there probably will be some,
zoning, yeah.
It doesn't, I'm just going down there, I don't recall seeing
because they haven't even
entrance.
started.
Lisa, are you talking about the apartments
I
there by
thought they
Thayer
will be.
Farms that are going in there? So I wrote 262.
Thank you.
That's what I have, it just says Thayer Farms Apartments,
Yep,
262.
perfect. Okay, so that's 262 units that are literally right in Betty Kiefer's backyard. And then you have, this would be Betty
Balance is going
Kiefer.
in there. Okay.
This would be Betty Kiefer. And this is Betty Kiefer.
Is Kenosha the same as the other one?
I don't know. And this is Betty Kiefer.
Yeah.
I
Kenosha.
think Kenosha, yeah, is Betty Kiefer.
Yeah, 'cause it's
But is
there
it
off
the
of-
same as this one up here?
No, 'cause aren't those apartments there off of 41? That next to the Thayer home, between there and Nagel, isn't that what's going in there then?
Right, and then there are apartments that are
But
out
there's
by
also,
K-Tech.
right,
I mean,
and then
not
there's
K-Tech,
apartments
but
out off
Kootenai
Kootenai Electric out
Mhm.
here.
So there are two.
Yes.
There are.
Okay, so I think before we say these two need to go to Betty Kiefer, I think we need to look at what potentially is going to Betty Kiefer. Cause you got 62 homes here.
That Settlement Mountain Estates, that's the ones that are off of California Street?
Yep.
Okay.
And then this Hollis Woods,
Go to the back of that whole. Oh,
do
wow.
we know what, did you write down
Hollis Woods.
number there?
No, they're the ones that don't have their plat. They
Okay.
didn't, they were still
They were
working on
not
the
sure.
plat.
Thayer Farms North, this is Betty Kiefer. And then this is Betty Kiefer. And when you look at Betty Kiefer's enrollment compared to Garwood's, they're only 20 kids apart. So I don't think we can send all of it to Betty Kiefer.
Kenosha is that one between Wyoming, Greens Ferry, and Lancaster. It's that field.
Mhm.
That's where Kenosha is. So is that the same as
No.
Hollis?
So one is kind of attached to Thayer Farms, and the other one is out by Kootenai Electric. So there are two different ones.
Maybe on the railway in Ballantree, the 250 apartment units, that is the one that's in Berkshire South, correct, on the east
Mhm.
side?
Mhm.
Maybe, I think maybe the confusion, and maybe it's just me, is maybe adding Berkshire South to that railway in Ballantree, just so they understand, it's literally right there next to the house, it's just like Majestic's was.
Right.
Mhm.
So if we said both of these areas go to Garwood, because Brookshire is going to Garwood, then we could, then all of these others those are Betty Kiefer, I don't know where else to send them.
Mhm.
It's not easy to get any of these to Twin.
Another
Is there,
spot.
what about John Brown?
Yeah. What about everything on the west side that, they haven't even built a house over there, on the west side of Meyer, which is that
This
the?
Hollis Woods?
Yeah.
Mhm.
They haven't even started building, those are gonna be houses, right, 10,000 square foot long, no apartments.
That's where they have the roads built, but
Yeah.
they don't have,
Mhm.
yeah, cause they're still
That would
working
be
it out.
good to maybe shift to John Brown
Yeah.
then.
Because then they could just come straight up Meyer and
Right.
collect the kids
And
that
they're
are
going to
in Corbin
Majestic
Crossing,
anyways,
right?
I mean, it's right there.
Okay, so let's put that here.
Since it's not being built, I think less likely
It's
to.
further in the future.
Yeah,
than-
exactly.
Than these other ones are a little more
to
imminent.
yeah, disrupt families maybe.
How many?
I don't remember. I just remember the.
Okay, and then
effects of it.
Settlement Mountain Estates, I don't know how you go anywhere other than Betty Kiefer, it's
that-
literally right off of
That's
California.
California Street, you have to, yeah.
I mean,
It's
they'll
to
be
the
able to
back-
see Betty
It's to the
Kiefer.
back side of that whole, it's to the west of that, the whole neighborhood.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then Thayer Farms North, Thayer Farms is going to Betty Kiefer, so kind of in the same boat as
Mhm.
Brookshire.
Those are the ones off of Rio Grande.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And then we have, if we're right, and we do have two separate apartment complexes going in around Betty Kiefer. I don't know if there's a way an easy way, I guess, for transportation. to transport those kids to John Brown.
I think they wouldn't have it. I wonder if they'd have an entrance off 41 for those apartments.
Off of Lancaster, maybe.
Well, they don't have room to come on off of Lancaster. They'd have to go back behind the Thayer home that's sitting there still, unless they plan on taking that, but it doesn't look like they do. I mean, they're building fencing all around it. They might come in off Nagel, or come in off the first street there off Nagel, and tuck in. So I'm just.
Are you talking?
Busing wise,
Right.
if they have an entrance on 41, it would be more easily accessible.
So the.
But I don't think, because there's the island through there, so we wouldn't be able to turn south or north.
So the apartments near Kootenai Electric.
Mm-hmm. Or is easy.
Is there, that's out Lancaster or
Yeah, it's off
Wyoming or
Lancaster,
whatever.
yeah.
So that would be an easy out and
Mhm.
onto 41 and then up 41 to John Brown.
I'm pretty sure if those, access to
Problem
those
is-
if those apartments are going in just to the north of the Thayer farm, the Thayer home that's left, they will not have an entrance off of 41. And even if they do, you could only go south because of the way the highway is built. You would not be able to take out.
Yeah, you can't.
There's
a
no
north.
light there.
Mm-mm. So they'll either have to punch in off of Nagel or the first road in, or come in through the neighborhood, the whole Thayer neighborhood there.
Isn't it Rio Grande the one that's planned to go through
Rio Grande goes to the west
north
side.
and south?
It goes more or less north or south, but it's on the far west side of.
Yeah, but it's
that
almost
neighborhood.
directly
But you-
opposite of where those Kenosha Lane apartments are.
Pretty close, yeah.
Rio Grande is
Rio
right
Grande is-
behind, the retirement, Golden Spike.
Yeah, it comes into Nagel on the
Mhm.
other side of Golden
Comes
Spike.
in Nagel.
It goes
So it'd be
Nagel
okay.
to
What
Lancaster.
I'm thinking is the Kenosha Lane apartments could go right straight north to Nagel and
Out to the
then
highway.
to Bedkeeper.
Yeah, to Betty Kiefer. Cause that was the other thing, even the Kootenai Electric, the ones that are out by Kootenai Electric, I mean, they could easily get to Lancaster to 41 and up to John Brown. But none of the John Brown routes are gonna be out there. That would be a separate busing situation for those kiddos if we were collecting them and taking them to John Brown, because they're in
Mhm.
close proximity. That's.
If they were at Betty Kiefer, would that be a busing, are they? 'Cause it's a mile and a half,
Mhm.
that would be close. But it's on the other side of Lancaster, which is getting increasingly busy,
Right.
so if you want.
Yeah, that would be a safety, I mean,
That's-
Jessica would have to look at safety busing, but I just
Mhm.
don't know I don't know how we easily move these two apartments, either one of these two
Mhm.
apartment complexes to John Brown.
Yeah. Cross your fingers, it's all adults.
So, BKEs,
So the railway and Ballantree are the ones that probably would go to Garwood.
Yep,
Mhm.
and the center,
and this one,
yeah.
What can you take from Brookshire? I mean, Majestic is right across the street and they go to John Brown. So rather than making Garwood overcrowded again, is there a bus that could swing into the apartments on Railway and Ballantree or Brookshire South and separate that, and some of them go to John Brown and some of them go to Garwood? The bus is already driving right by my neighborhood. Majestic. Just to think about the crowding and using John Brown.
Question, Lisa. How long is this plan, like what is the goal? How many years before you think you'll have to either rezone or relook at this?
well, what I think, I guess it's hard to know, because prior to COVID, we would have said there are gonna be a lot of kids coming in, and we would have been behind the 8 ball to get a building built to house them all. it's hard to know at this point how many kids are coming. So I think the survey that we're doing with the community will help us kind of gear up for what direction we need to go.
The only reason why, not to interrupt you, that I ask is, when you guys are trying to figure out those apartments that are scheduled for Garwood, the railway, they haven't broken ground, and Leon said they extended another year.
Right.
So just an idea to float around is maybe table that one, see how many kids come out of Majestic Apartments, and have maybe a better idea of what, and then decide before people are moving in, then decide where to put that one, or change it. You could schedule it for this and then change it. But they haven't even broke ground, and Leon said that they
Right,
pushed
it's
out for
gonna be-
another year just to
20,
start building.
2025, I think
Yeah.
is when you said people would start.
So I don't know if that one's like, maybe, you know, a huge concern, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, so this is the one you're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna wait a year, if Leon said that they asked for another year extension. I don't know, but maybe that one is gonna sit for a while and it won't be a concern, and then by the time they start wanting to break ground, Majestic will be fulfilled the apartments, and you'll say, oh, I know that, you know, we're pulling this X amount from here.
Yeah, we'll maybe have a better idea.
Yeah,
how
or
many
maybe a
kids
lot
are
of the
coming.
kids will have gone out of Brookshire and transferred into the middle school by then, who knows, you know?
Mhm.
But it's just a thought.
What about Brookshire South? That's not in the same boat. That's actually getting
There's
built
not a lot
out.
of houses in there. I mean, really, there's
And
not.
some of them are really big houses in
Yeah, they put
Berkshire
a couple,
South.
but if you drive through it, it's not like Brookshire. Brookshire was huge. It's not like Majestic. It's a smaller. I don't know what the numbers were. I don't think Leon had that, but it's not huge.
50 at the most, 90.
Yeah, it's not.
Push 50 at least.
Yeah. But I don't.
What are those houses going for, do you know?
I don't know. There's a lot of that are available. They have started building, but a lot of them show available still. But they're putting in some of the smaller homes that they had in Majestic, which I think will attract more young couples.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I was wondering.
You know, that's what I gotta think.
Let's see if this-
If you go to Hayden Homes website, and you'll actually be able to see what the prices are, and you can see what the lowest price of that house is. But they're still probably 200,000 more than they were 4 years ago or 3 years ago.
So an 1,100 square foot house, it's going for almost $400,000.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Anything
It's
over
insane to
350,
me.
you're not gonna get first time home buyers.
Mhm.
And they just can't afford it.
No.
Unless they have some rich relatives. But we're not seeing that.
Nope. So is everybody else okay with Christine's idea? And since Leon did share that they're not gonna break ground at this apartment complex for 1 to 2 years, that we table it for now, and we can come back to it when we know that they're actually breaking ground, and we'll have a better idea of what our enrollment is at each of our schools at that point. Okay.
Can Betty Keeper house all of these kids that we don't know how many we're really getting?
Right.
So all of that is going to Betty Keeper.
Yeah, with the new pods we're getting there.
Are they gonna get pots in there?
When you say pods, do you mean portables?
Portables, yeah.
Whatever. You're gonna
God,
give,
portable.
you're
What's
gonna
Yeah,
give
yeah,
Mr.
it's
Jones
not
a
that
heart
much
attack.
different. Window, a door.
No portable.
Just want the meeting to go longer, Lisa. No.
Are you trying to get that vein and start
Yeah.
going down the side of his head?
Bob knows how I feel about portables.
You and I, Jason.
That's right.
Yeah, it's hard to know for sure, but I don't know how you move any of those areas away from Betty Keefer and get them to any other school. But it's hard to know how many kids are coming.
But Timberlake.
So, and how many are elementary kids? It could be that people move in and they've got middle school and high school kids.
And just knowing our neighborhood's
That was
been there, I mean, our
functional.
basic
Functional
neighborhood
trauma.
has been there
So
long
this is-
enough
Since
that
1994.
Okay,
a lot of our
That is.
within the neighborhood kiddos they're grown older, they're in the middle school, they're at the high school. And so some of the smaller homes, a lot of them have gone to rentals, and so then we have a lot of turnover of younger families.
The Meyer and Wyoming Holliswoods thing got it down around. Without looking at the zoning map, are we leapfrogging over something
Yeah.
in order to get to them?
Yeah. Both Garwood and Betty Kiefer,
Yeah.
in order to do that.
I don't know that I'm comfortable with
In an
it.
effort to not rezone and
Well,
pull
but
some
it's-
closer in.
So, not necessarily, because when we rezoned, we took all of those kids from Garwood that were along Majestic, on the
Right.
east side of Majestic. So this bus would pick up that area, which is right there on Meyer, and come up Meyer to pick up the rest of the kids. I mean, I guess they're going through Brookshire to do it.
I guess they're the in between from Lancaster to Wyoming. There aren't, on the west side of Meyer, there are no homes currently.
Right, it's
Yeah,
this
but that's-
subdivision that
that's
was
the-
going in there. Yeah, so
Even
that's it.
though that's part of that other zone.
Mhm. Otherwise, it's zoned for Betty Kiefer.
Right. Yeah, I'd have to look at the maps.
Again,
Can you bring
they're
that
also not even
up?
platted yet.
That's
Once
the
they get that. they'll
GIS
be
one?
complete.
Okay.
You go to, yeah, go to parent students, and then attendance zones. And then click on elementary. Yeah. And then you'll just have to scroll in.
Scroll in.
Zoom.
Zoom.
Oh.
I'm pointing like you can see what I'm pointing at that screen.
I cannot read that. So here's Wyoming. Here's 41.
Meyer's the next
So
one to
this
the
is
east, and
Meyer.
that's Meyer.
So it's right here
Yeah,
that it's
it's right
going
there.
in.
We have that partially Garwood.
So you could actually, Bob, come out to 41 and go up 41 to John Brown
Right.
and not cut through Brookshire or these subdivisions over here. Is this,
So that would take,
who's purple?
Purple is John Brown.
that's
Okay.
just John
Purple's
Brown.
John Brown, yeah.
So that would put all of, if you did 41 and took that whole green little pocket there between Meyer and
That'd be rezoning.
41,
I don't
yeah,
wanna
it'd be
do that.
rezoning.
Can we not rezone? Because some of those people, well, no, that would be the opposite side, but, yeah, cause that's Radiant Lake and Skyline Meadows here. But if we're talking down here,
What,
right here,
When you say rezone, if you're thinking about assigning that area to
this,
John Brown, even though, I mean, you're still kind of rezoning, right? Are you just, when you say rezoning, are you talking about people that have already been living there?
right.
Instead of like
Right,
just
so
rezoning
this
from
part,
that, what already
this
says?
part is easy, cause nobody's here yet, so we can, if they were to buy here, we could, or move into the apartments, whatever's going here, is that houses?
You're not transitioning kids.
Yeah, then we're just going up 41 to John Brown, that's no
Right.
big deal. What they were saying was you could capture all this green from Betty Kiefer and go up to John Brown, but that would be rezoning, because you've got people living here who've been going to Betty Kiefer. So,
and that's Lancaster. You're thinking, are they talking about that whole section there south of Lancaster?
it's this, what,
Well,
What,
no,
who?
wouldn't it really be?
That's Hayden right there.
Yeah, no,
So
it's
between
that little
Wyoming
blue
and-
pocket to the right of
this right
the
here?
green. Yeah, that's
That's Garwood
North.
right now.
yeah, that's Garwood. So it's that section there south. So it's actually, I think that because that's the railroad tracks angling through.
Mm-hmm.
So that Hollis is that where the dotted line is, and it's that little triangular trapezoidal
I have
piece
This
there.
is this right
West
here?
Meyer down
Just
to
to
the
the other side of the
tracks.
railroad tracks.
Yeah, Westmeyer down to the
Yeah,
tracks.
right.
Okay, so
That
it's
little
this.
park there, yeah.
Mhm. So
Is
it's
it-
this green, or this
Is
blue
it north
part.
of the tracks or south of the tracks? I thought it was south.
I have Westmeyer down to the tracks.
Oh,
is
down
how
to the
this
tracks.
works.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's this part, this is what we're talking about.
That little
Mhm.
pocket.
But you could come out to Wyoming and come out to the light and go up for transportation up to John Brown
And
and
they
not
already have
be,
that bus at Majestic that would make the loop.
or just go up Meyer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're,
Can you get on 41 from Wyoming?
Yeah, yeah.
They have
with
a light
with
there
a
now.
light.
There is? Okay.
Yeah, it's easy, it's a, I go all the time.
Okay.
Wyoming's not that, it does, the, railroad tracks don't have even a stop sign there. It's kind of a bad.
right, so if they went out this way up Meyer, they could go up Meyer, cross Lancaster, and go in here to Corbin Crossing and pick up the rest of the John Brown kids and go up.
Circumvent the railroad tracks.
Mhm.
Are we getting a busload out of that?
Potentially, it's hard.
Right here?
It's,
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
We are.
yeah, we've got
So
80
it'd
some
be
kids
an
going.
added route then.
Mm-hmm. It would be another route.
So it could go out Wyoming, and Wyoming is north of the railroad track, right?
Yep, yeah, so you're not crossing the track.
You don't have to cross the railroad track. Yeah, theoretically it works. Not pretty, but
But it's an odd little pocket that makes sense to send to Betty Kiefer.
yeah.
Right.
But being homes, the potential of having more kiddos is greater.
Right, and there wasn't really another place where we could add more kids to John Brown. That was the only place where we,
Not unless you extend down on and take that little section
Not unless
to
you get
Nebraska.
that.
whoops. Where's my, there we go. Not unless you do what?
If you cut across here. But they're already going there.
Yeah, I'm, right now I'm not looking at rezoning, I just wanna look
The
at,
other thing is, all those new houses going in right here, you could potentially pull in John Brown.
which houses are you talking about?
That's the one from the Lions Club here.
Oh, those are the only ones though that we could send to Twin.
Yeah.
That made any sense. So basically, I think what we've said is some of this area
That area
would go to John Brown, that make, oh no, Twin,
Twin.
we'd go up and go that way, so that kind of makes sense. Transportation wise, then this could go to John Brown, we could either go up 41, which is probably the easiest, or if there aren't very many kids here and there's room on this bus, they could go here and then go up and pick these kids up and not have to have a separate route. And then everything that's over here is gonna be Betty Kiefer.
So the apartments that are the ones that are just on the other, on west of Meyer that are not built yet, but the infrastructure is there. Where are they going? Are they?
That's this part we're talking
That's
about.
that little apartment there?
Yeah.
Oh. It looks a lot bigger when you're driving by.
Yeah.
I have, well, so I wrote down East Meyer down to the tracks is where they're doing that 250 multifamily apartments.
Right, that's different. This is
That's
the
a different
This
one?
is the Hollis.
That's that triangle.
So this
to
is the Hollis Woods one.
Yep, and
that
then
we're-
the apartments are over here somewhere.
The apartments are over there.
Yep.
As well as South Berkshire.
And all of it right now is slated to go to Garwood.
Yep.
So we're trying to figure out how to not get him to go to Garwood.
At least some of them, so, because you have to consider transportation and these all make sense, cause there are already buses going through Brookshire, so that part makes sense, but this part we could get to John Brown.
Okay.
potentially likely another lease
I'm worried about
year
Betty
anyway,
Keeper.
because
Yeah.
our last meeting, they said there wasn't even any building permits yet for those.
Yep, but it's already annexed in, so as soon as they request the permits, they're gonna go, so.
We've got the infrastructure in there, so just a matter of.
Okay, are we okay with all of these for now? So just as a recap, the homes behind Lions Club zoned twin, the apartments behind Betty Kiefer, close to K-Tech, not K-Tech,
What
Kootenai
stage are
Electric.
those in?
The Kootenai Electric apartments are being built.
They're,
No, the ones behind Betty Kiefer.
I haven't noticed them at all, but I don't go
I
back.
can't I can't.
But you can't see them as you come into the neighborhood.
I
no?
don't-
I don't see anything.
So-
Yeah, I don't know if they've started building them
But I
yet.
think are they
They
pushing
have
it through California, or are they coming in from, the neighborhood behind,
I don't know.
off an eagle?
I do not know.
You know, the ones, out by Kootenai Electric, they'll be occupied probably starting in the fall, I should guess. Some of them, not
Yeah.
all of them. But
They're,
if we don't
they're
get any-
sided and pretty much roofed,
This
so
is
it's
not
all
an
the
easy map
interior.
to use.
Yeah, so I would say by spring.
Where is Betty Kiefer's
Nearing
school? Oh, up
completion
here.
probably. Some of them are.
I'm looking here, I'm like, this is not where Betty
No,
Kiefer is.
No, you're by Nagle.
Yeah, I know,
right
we're
up
up here,
there,
yeah.
I think he threw the color names on there randomly, which is not helpful.
Right, so where is Kootenai Electric?
Lancaster.
Lancaster, before
About
Greensbury.
3/4 of the way toward Greensbury,
Yeah.
right there.
So in here?
Right, on the other side of the road.
On the south.
Over here?
Yeah.
Yeah, right in there.
Okay,
And the apartments are right next to him to the,
Yeah.
to
Right,
the east.
yep, and then, based on what Leon told us, then there are more apartments going in somewhere up
Somewhere in
here,
there.
like Thayer Farms area.
Isn't that
Those
their
aren't
farms
even-
then?
Those aren't even started yet.
No,
I've
Okay.
they're
seen.
not even started yet.
Okay.
And then behind California
tucked
Street
in
over
there.
here, that's where the 62 homes are going.
Up against 53.
Mm-hmm.
Well, up against the railroad tracks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, up against the railroad tracks there.
Okay, and then we have Settlement Mountain Estates, that's the 62 homes behind California, behind the original subdivision for Betty Kiefer, so that's Betty Kiefer. We're gonna table this one for now. Brookshire South will go to Garwood. Hollis Woods will go to John Brown. Thayer Farms North, Betty Kiefer, and then this other apartment complex attached to Thayer Farms goes to Betty Kiefer.
And there should be some notation that, you know, these decisions are based on potential numbers, you know, that we believe is going to happen. So it's not, so that people understand, it's not just arbitrary, I mean, it's meant to balance the elementary schools as well as.
And it has to work for the transportation
Yeah, for that
department.
potential growth, and transportation plays into it as well, so it's not just one factor.
Right.
So just looking at the apartments behind Betty Kiefer and the Kenosha Lane apartments, that if you're talking
One child for
one
every 3
child
unit.
for every 3, it's
We're gonna
about
get
80
500 in-
per one of those, 80,
500 in a
90
heartbeat.
per each of those apartment complexes. So that's almost 200 students.
But we don't know if they're all gonna be
Into both.
elementary. Some of those could be
Well,
middle school and high
yeah,
school.
are we just talking elementary or all the way through though?
That would probably be all the way through, but.
So elementary is
So-
really only about
yeah.
half of that, yeah.
Still, that's 80,
Mhm.
and Betty Kiefer's at 386, so that puts Betty Kiefer at 466 without looking at the homes in Settlement Mountain and Thayer Farms
Farms.
North.
But just like you said, even looking at the Majestic Park Apartments, there's just a handful of kids, and I know they're not all full yet, I don't think, but.
A lot of them have people living in them.
They're
Yeah,
filling up
just a-
quickly, yeah.
Just a handful of kids, so really, that could potentially happen with those other ones too.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yep. So I think we do, at this point, it's really our best guess because we don't have a crystal ball and there's no way to know for sure. And then, it's just constantly reevaluating where we are with our enrollment.
Yeah, realistically, you kinda gotta reevaluate year by year, but given the scenarios that we have right now, I don't see us doing much of anything to make a change for about 3 years.
We won't fully feel it for 3 years.
Well,
By the time
at the
we pull it
elementary
out.
level, I am worried about the high school,
Yeah.
Lakeland High School. So, we'll just see if they continue to grow.
What was the what was high school enrollment again?
They're at just under 900.
Oh, okay.
And what's the school's potential?
900 is their max capacity.
Yeah,
They're at 898.
You said Kenosha Lane was where? Sorry, I was trying to look it up.
Kenosha Lane is south of Lancaster, across from
Thayer Farms.
Rio, just a little bit west of Rio Grande.
So would that be, I'm not looking
It's
at
part of
my
that Thayer Farms.
So across, so I wrote in my note the 262, that said across street from Thayer Farms
That's
on
the
there.
other one.
That's
Okay.
it. So there's two there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
There's one within Thayer Farms and there's one on the opposite side of Lancaster.
By Kootenai Electric.
Lakeland High School can't be added on to at all, can it? I don't think
Could it be added on to?
Yeah.
Oh, theoretically, yeah.
Can it?
But do we want,
I
How
think-
expensive?
But,
Yeah.
is it wise to do it, I guess
Mhm.
becomes the issue.
yeah, well, and
The realistic thing, as we sit today, would be to add on to Timberlake Middle School so that we can move secondary kids, both junior high and
Yeah.
middle school and high school
and
north.
create some space at Lakeland High School.
Now, does the middle school at Timberlake, did you guys end up adding onto it? Or do you have,
There's a portable. in
there is portables there?
Just one.
Would you like to have it?
That's not how that works, Bob.
Got a buyer.
Well, 'cause I think last year we talked and you did have a portable in there.
Mhm.
And then there was conversation about,
Now, Timberlake Middle School is down significantly this year over last year because we had some people who were attending who were not
in the
actually
district.
living in the district, and so they are not here. So they were over 400 last year, and they're at 349 this year.
349, okay.
Yep. And then Timberlake High School is going to make a proposal to the board on the 13th. Jackie Duran is going after a $4 million grant to build an addition to Timberlake High School to house the ag department. And there's a grant out there specific to it, so they're gonna present it to the board, and that would free up some classroom space for
Yeah.
when we move kids up, if she's successful, and if the board approves it.
To
So,
house the what?
The
at the ag
agricultural
program.
Which would allow them to expand quite a bit.
Right, yep,
Mhm.
yeah, so, she and Ryan they're on fire up there, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lakeland High School is my
It's the better
personally,
zone.
it's my biggest concern. Did you hear what she said?
Good, Bob.
But I'm sure it was snarky.
Yeah, and it doesn't need to be repeated.
Randy is a proud supporter of Spirit Lake and Timberlake High School. Okay.
Actually, from a physical standpoint, it would be easier to add on to Timberlake High School than Lakeland High School. It's designed for it.
It is.
Right,
It
well,
is.
and
Well,
they have a
Lakeland
plan to go.
was, but it's.
Right, so that what they're gonna propose to the board is, adding a breezeway, a covered breezeway that goes from the end of the 300 hall, where, think Tony is over there, and Dave Oneto. And then, there's a big grassy area, so the plan is to put this addition out there, and
On the west side, not the west side?
the east side.
East side.
Mhm.
Towards the tennis courts.
No, on the
No.
front end of the building.
Oh, okay.
Like as you walk in,
Mhm.
and that
Mhm.
office is over here, you turn down this wing, and it would follow that wing out.
It's just a grassy area.
There's a
so
big
you
grassy
drive
area
into
right
the-
there. And so they're looking at it
Inside the drive or on the other side of the drive you're talking about?
between the parking lot and the,
And
So
then-
as you drive in,
Yeah.
there's the drive that goes across the front of the school,
Yeah.
and then the other one that goes.
Yeah, right.
It's that grassy area there, that space.
So between the building and the driveway.
Mm.
Yeah, it does seem like a little smaller.
Yeah, that's
there's
what-
enough room there to put a 250 by 250
Yeah.
foot.
You could actually add off that hallway to the north.
Yeah, they have a plan for that too.
Is it by the baseball field?
No.
Before you get to
No.
the baseball field.
No.
It's up to here.
And how do I pull up a Google
Yeah.
Earth?
I just did Google Maps earlier today.
Google Maps?
Because it's grassy area
Yeah,
all the
it's
way
right
out
out
here.
there.
Yeah, we just do that, and then
See,
I
this
just
is-
figured
Yeah,
this
it's-
is-
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually.
It's
add
the
on.
gis.kc.gov.
You
So
already
the
got
two
it.
drivers
Right
coming in and-
there.
okay.
Right.
I thought,
But you
yeah,
can
I
use
haven't
that
seen
as
that
a-
Lauren.
More.
down at the bottom,
Yep.
and then click on, yep, there you go.
Okay,
Kind of a preview
so,
of our new
There,
website.
yep,
yeah,
Still
this is the
live.
front of the
On
building,
the
so he's
third.
looking right
This.
here
okay.
and adding this,
That.
ag, right? That's what he was talking about, the ag, facility.
Okay.
And then repurposing the old shop, which has some issues for art and other courses, and then there would be classrooms in here, so it would free up some classroom space in the high
There's
school.
3 classrooms,
5 total,
yeah, cause they would add 2 and then free up 3.
right, so they'd, yeah, increase by 5, so. Anywho, that's their plan, and it's a $4 million grant that they're looking at, so it does help free up some space if we do redraw the lines for secondary, but again, it requires a bond so that we can add on to Timberlake Middle School.
Just grab and pull. There you go.
Can I,
You scroll in, zoom,
okay,
there you go.
so here's Timberlake Middle School, and it was designed to go
And the
out.
portable is there at the bottom.
Yeah, this
towards
is the
bottom,
portable.
right there.
So it was designed to build out here, right, Bob? And also out here?
Yes.
Okay. So,
The only problem with, there's a different issue than that.
okay, are we good with this? Cause, well, since we have Lori and, remind me of your name, I'm so
Dawn.
sorry. Dawn.
Yeah.
Here, I do wanna talk about, Spirit Lake and Athol, and where the growth is there. So, should we start with Spirit Lake?
Okay. No immediate growth because we have all kinds of issues. Before you go down, if you go east, just east of the high school there, that area that looks about half cleared,
This
that
right here?
space, that's going to be a DOM subdivision, platted for I think 57 lots. Because of our sewer moratorium, he has 43 sewer permits for that area. So
Do we know how big the lots are gonna be and how?
half acre.
So these will be bigger, more expensive homes.
A little bit, yeah.
So maybe not Spirit Lake Elementary, but could be Timberlake Middle or Timberlake High School students moving in
Hard
there.
to say. I would hate to even try to guess. We get a lot of families moving in up there. I expect him to start building probably in about a year. And you all know his track record. He'll build as fast as they sell.
What was it,
Faster.
Dom?
Oh.
Did you
Dom.
say?
DOM, yeah. It's Colton's
Can't
Acres.
remember.
DAUM. Oh, I thought just everybody knew that 4-letter word.
Is that the name of the contractor?
Yeah,
That's his
yeah,
last
Dom.
name. So it's Colton's Acres
Colton
is
is
that
the name?
subdivision.
It's the same.
propose
You
it.
said, how many homes?
57 total.
But he's got.
43 will be buildable within the next year or two. We do have our sewer moratorium up there that's expected to last 3 to 5 years, so the rest wouldn't be buildable until then.
Okay. And these are half-acre lots.
Did you say the rest would be 5 years?
About,
5
yeah.
years out, so.
Okay, anything else going on
And
in Spirit
then,
Lake?
up north of that, quite a ways north, pretty much straight north though, another smaller subdivision, keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Go
Spirit
past.
Lake is bigger than you think.
Yeah.
5 and beer.
And that one's gonna be 17 half-acre lots.
Where is that?
Keep going north. A little bit more.
There's the park.
Okay, so see where that funny little square is?
Right here?
That's the middle of it, yep. So he's gonna have one house in the middle of that, and the rest are gonna be built around it.
Same Dom
No,
construction?
no, this is Dave White, it's gonna be, Timber Lake Pines, I think is what he's calling that one.
And you said 17?
17 at half-acre lots. And then we are expecting a little bit of build out within town, probably no more than like 20 houses whenever they get around to doing them.
Just,
Yeah.
just sporadically around
Yeah.
town?
So, you know, we don't have a whole lot going on up there, but it is coming. Our sewer issue has kind of hit the pause button for us, which is okay with me. Yeah.
What about the, lots that they're selling and building on the west side of 41 there, like directly across from Timber Lake?
So that's in the county.
Okay,
That's
a
not
county,
in
so
city
that's not
limits.
city
Yeah, and
limits,
those are
okay.
large houses.
But they're much larger,
Mhm.
being on the lakeside.
And I think
we're
there's
going
only like
right
5
So
in there.
directly across between the lake, between 41 and the lake
Yeah.
is, there's
Over
got
here?
lots in there, yeah, all in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, did you guys check into
No,
the county for
further
subdivision?
directly across from the so north of the intersection.
Yeah, Jessica has
Up here?
all
Yeah,
the
in
plat
there.
maps for county.
Yeah.
So
I
that,
think
so there are
there's-
more homes going in here?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think there's
They're
like
bigger.
5 houses.
Yeah, they're,
And they're county, so I don't know much about them, except they appear to be huge.
Okay.
What
And
is-
then what's going in right
Yeah, I was
here?
just gonna ask
Do you
that.
know?
Nothing right away. Cord Lane Paving Group owns it. Their long-range goal, because they don't have any sewer connections or anything, they're wanting to do a mixed-use, commercial and apartments
I
someday.
had heard apartments.
Is their someday plan. Yeah.
we got a
And then you've
hefty
got,
concrete solid wall that they're gonna build.
Mhm.
I know that
I
this
think it's
is
partly for advertising.
county and not city, but we have,
Yeah.
where's the road that they just cut in?
Right
and
there.
This
That
nautical
one?
loop?
Yeah.
Wendland?
Do we know how many homes are going in here?
There's 5 acre parcels back there.
That's it?
Mhm.
Oh, that's nothing
Yeah.
to worry about.
Yeah. And they are starting to build, but yeah, it's still. So yeah, not a whole lot going on in our neck of the woods.
Yeah, so there's probably nothing really to worry about here, cause I don't know if you'd get elementary kids out of that.
And I'm sure you realize we do get a lot of kids that probably you know about and some that you don't know about coming out of Montgomery County.
Yeah, well, we should know about all of them if they're doing it properly.
Okay.
Um,
I had a gentleman that was very upset with me the other day when there was the logging truck accident. Took him an hour to get his daughter to school from Blanchard into Spirit Lake, and I'm like, really? Really? Okay. Yeah.
What
So-
address are you using?
Right, exactly.
So, I hope you guys know about that one. Collecting a little bit from him, but yeah.
Okay, so, I don't, let's go back to the enrollment sheet. Spirit Lake
happening forever.
Elementary
Yep.
is at under 300, so they can definitely absorb
Yeah.
if they get any kids out of that at all.
Yeah.
And then.
And how much is Spirit Lake rated for? How many kids can go in there? 'Cause I know it
Well, we've
seems
had-
like they're crowded.
About
Yeah,
400.
about 400.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and I think they're at
Just under 3.
yeah, 292, so they've got some room to
Okay.
grow.
There's functional
All right,
capacity and then
Lori,
So, one thing we didn't talk about, because it's in the county, not in the city, right? on 53, they've just put a road down, I don't know how many, what's going in, but between
54.
No, 53, between Windsong and Atlas on 53, there's a subdivision going in there. And I don't know how big lots they're gonna be or how many, but
They're
there it
5
is.
acre because they're in the county.
Is what?
They're 5 acre lots because they're in the county.
Okay, so it'll be not too many houses then. Okay, we won't have to worry about that then. Cause they would automatically be at Garwood. Okay.
All right, so
And
I'm
in
gonna do,
between Spirit Lake and Ethel, all along Ramsey, Seasons, Remington, all those
That
5 acre
is
parcels, there's,
Crazy.
those are all 5 acre parcels too, but that's going to add a lot of numbers in between. I mean, granted, bigger lots, but, still, like you said, there's families, when they do come in, they're still buying up there even at the higher prices, so.
okay.
So ours is Colton Acres as well. So I'm like, they can't come up with new names. That's our biggest one in
And
Apple.
where's that one going?
Just behind Northern Meadows. So if you go up and then to your left. Nope, the other. Yep.
My other
The other left.
Yep. And keep going. So.
About 50.
Is it on the other side?
Yep. It's north of 54 and yep, keep going. There you go.
In that green
Keep going
space.
past the other side of tracks. Okay, so
There.
now directly north of this is north, oh god, totally lost the name of it. That's Northern Meadows is what we call that. So go north, keep going, yep, keep dragging down, there you go.
Oh my.
So if you scroll out just a little bit, you can kind of see where the road there where it kind of loops. That
Right here.
currently, they have half of there's 25 houses being built along Alice Court there on both sides. They are about 3/4 of the way done with those, houses. We've permitted, I should say, about, I think they're only living in 3 or 4 of them so far. But there are 25 homes slated and, about 15 of them are already permitted and half built.
Is that the same developers?
No, these guys are out of Sandpoint.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, like kind of crazy to use the same name.
And these are on acre?
They're 1/3 acre parcels.
1/3 acre.
They're, Dom is who's building them. He bought them from the Colton Acres guys. Well, he bought all but 2.
So it's the
they're,
same developer?
yeah, well, for the first half of this, yes.
Okay, anything else in Apple?
Yeah, so Colton Acre, that's just what's going on right now. The next phase for Colton Acres is the rest of the 115 houses.
Hmm.
And that continues on that same parcel, just going up further. The second phase of Colton Acres.
Phase 2.
Yeah.
115.
Mm-hmm.
And when are they?
Also on
any idea when
also
they're
on
doing
the
it?
third of an acre?
All on 1/3 acre. Well, some of them won't be there because there's the hillside, so they're gonna have to mix it up, and there'll be a couple larger parcels, 2 or 3 acre parcels, just because that huge hillside can't really be built upon.
But most of them will
But
be on.
mostly 1/3 acre. That's our minimum lot size.
Okay.
And that one is contingent or dependent on them bringing in their sewer system, which they already have permitted through DEQ. So they're just waiting to break ground.
Water for the.
Yeah, the city does.
Okay.
Yeah, we just
It's
did
in
a
the
update, so
sewer
we're good.
problem.
Yeah, so they have to bring their own sewer, and they're doing that. The city is still looking, we actually have a wastewater plan that we're looking into right now to potentially see what the possibility of joining with Silverwood is. If the council were to pursue that in any fashion, that would change things drastically for us in a hurry, cause that's our limitation is sewer. We're beyond septic tanks, so.
Right.
And then we just have the 2 other smaller, they're not really called anything, but the 6 units, if you go to the east a little bit and down between the 2 tracks, and not right that far, keep going, there you go.
Between the 2 tracks.
Between the 2 railroad tracks, so you need to,
Am I going this way still?
no, other direction, sorry. There you go. Nope. There's
Little
204.
four.
See where it says pastime note, back to the right a little.
Down a little
Sorry,
bit.
I am
stop.
lost.
See
Where
the
the little
pastime?
pin that says pastime club.
Pastime club.
Oh, right here?
Yeah.
Yep, and
Okay.
I go up from right there, they're right in that area. That
In
is
this
going
area?
to be 6 new, no, to the right there, it's kinda cleared, you can see the clearing.
This right here?
Yep, they
So
got the road
between
all built, and so 6 new
Pastime
houses.
and Allen Street.
Yeah, it's Hester houses, Hester
And that's
Homes.
6?
AJ Homes actually is what they're calling it, yep. AJ Homes is 6 new units.
AJ Homes?
Uh-huh. And the road is done, so I'm expecting them to bring in or build houses anytime. He tends to like to do mobile homes, so. And then we have one more 10 units down off of, south of 54. And the road infrastructure just got built finally on 2nd Street. So they finally finished 2nd Street, and that would be 10 new homes, which we've just issued our first permit.
So that, in addition to the 10 units south of Highway 54, there's 10 more on 2nd Street, or is
No,
this
that
the
is,
same?
that is,
Okay.
yeah, it's more 2nd Street versus Highway 54. I was just giving you placement.
Okay.
Go right of 50, yep, and then stop. Now, that's Idaho Forest goes down from there. See the big empty green?
Big green.
So to the left of it, that road, 2nd Street, where it says 2nd Street, it's to the right now. We vacated that completely, and they created that whole new road that's
Why
now
can I
2nd
not
Street.
see 2nd Street?
It's
Oh, right here.
Yep, so
So
both sides
second.
of that road can now be developed on the new 2nd Street.
Okay.
Where it says 2nd Street, that's no longer 2nd Street. 2nd
Oh.
Street got moved over. So that would be the 10 new lots, and we just issued our first permit on it because the road has been built. And there is no name or home yet, cause he keeps trying to sell on Levi's.
Is that all county?
This is all county, yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot going in, on the air.
Off of 54 and.
Howard on
Well,
off
yeah,
of
then you got the
54.
other side in Bayview.
Howard is huge.
Between us and Bayview, Walking
Yeah.
Horse has exploded with 5-acre
Yeah.
parcels too. But that would be 150 new houses, and
so
we only
go
have 300
north
houses
from
now,
there.
so it's a 50% increase for us in the city,
Yeah.
let alone what the county
Can you
is.
So
guess
that-
where road?
that-
I wanna live on that
That
street.
brown, well, no, that's the old road.
Keep going.
But that's a
northeast.
big, development in there.
Yeah, that's
Over here?
No,
Magnuson.
in that, so, in here, they pushed
Yep.
in.
Oh, in
Yep,
here.
those are all
Here,
25.
they put in another one.
Where is
Oh.
it?
25 5-acre parcels.
Where's
So
Super
this-
One from
This
here?
is Super One.
Yep,
Okay, that's what I thought.
So there's some going in here, in here.
Yep.
yep.
Nothing new in there. And then you go further out, Howard, and there's,
Walking Horse.
they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Where are all these people moving in, working?
They're coming retired.
A lot of
Retired,
them.
A lot
so
of us, yeah,
if
larger
they're
and
retired, they're
retired,
not
but
necessarily
it's
bringing
not, but
kids.
just
That's-
driving
That's
Howard
what's
though,
impacting
I'm,
our enrollment.
see a lot of,
And for
Unless
us,
they're bringing their
adult
children
and
with
stuff.
their grandkids. with
Right.
them.
Right.
And that will
Eventually.
end up with our kids,
And the
so,
retired
yeah, I mean,
people
we're
aren't gonna go
retired,
for
but we came up with,
yeah, that's what's happening too though, is in like Northern Meadows there, they're now selling these houses and going to the next level, up, and so then we were getting more and more rentals. There's like 60 houses in Northern Meadows, and so
right,
it's
so they're
filling
going,
up.
they're going to rentals and then.
Right. Good thing not no apartments. We're not even zoned for it in any fashion because of the wastewater, so that's kind of a nice thing. But that's a 50% growth for us, so that's just in the city and if it not including what the county does, so.
Okay.
Big enough for us.
All right, so I will give this information to the board and I will have it as an action item for them to approve this work as far as zoning in the Rathdrum area. I don't think there's anything we need to do here. Sorry, what?
So you're gonna make me redo a map?
Sorry, again. As far as next meeting date for this team, I am thinking that we'll meet after the holidays. The strategic planning committee they've got some work to do before we continue our work, and so we'll take just a small little break. So the next time we come together, the strategic plan will be at least in draft form so that we can start looking at the goals that they have for facilities based on community input, and then we'll be able to start moving ahead as far as what our recommendations might be.
And the community input is gonna go up to
The whole community.
yes.
And is it gonna be all, not just Rathdrum, it'll be
The
All
whole
taxpayers.
every
The whole-
single taxpayer in
the
the
whole
Lakeland
district.
School District. So we're gonna send a postcard that will have a QR code on it,
Okay.
so people can just take a picture on their phone and do the survey that way. And it will also have the district website where we'll have a link to the survey, so they can do it either way.
Okay.
But we want to make sure that it'll also help us to know, like, I consistently say we have 67% of the people who live here that don't have ties to the schools, but that data came from 2014, which was 10 years ago. So I don't know with any certainty where we are, so this will give us good information as to whether, what
Right.
percentage of our people are connected.
Or that survey is finding out, yes, you live here, but do you have any children tied to the district?
Right.
And elementary,
Is it-
school, high school level.
Is it specific to just children or just like working
Both.
or?
I'll ask those questions. So do you have children who attend Lakeland School District? Do you have grown children who work for Lakeland School District? Or any family member? Do you have any family members who work for Lakeland School District or attend our schools, so that we can see what percentage of people say no to both of those questions?
Is there information that ties whoever's filling it out to a household, so that if 2 or 3 people from the same household filled one out, you would only count one, or you're counting, I mean, is there a way to?
I don't know, the only
Provide an address.
way to do that is provide an address, which some people aren't gonna like to do.
Gonna want to do.
Mhm.
Could you
Yeah.
put how many
We
in your
can't really ask it and
household?
see how many people will
um,
provide it, cause it's also trying to make it worthwhile, like knowing your area, and if you say you have more kids, it also kinda puts more concentration on, do they have children under 5 that plan to be in the school district in the next
Right.
door, or are they in high school already so that they're gonna be shifting out, kind of a thing, so, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem giving that information, but maybe if you put it as an optional, you might be surprised at how many people might be willing to give it. But then you can also rule out duplication if you got 2 from a household that they didn't realize that the other one did or something.
Yeah, well, the other thing we could do is collect email addresses, and then if we have an email address that is duplicated, we just count it once.
Sure. Just curious.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. We wanna make sure we're
Cause are you
getting
asking
accurate data.
each taxpayer to fill it out, or each household?
Each household. Yep. And we'll put that right on there, please answer this only once for your household.
Can we do anything about, which school does your family go to? And then how many kids in your household? I mean, that would give us a potential as well.
And we can do age bands, so 0 to 5, kindergarten through 5th grade, 6th through 8th, and 9th through 12th.
Yeah, that way it gives us usable information, but it's not too
Intrusive.
specific, that's intrusive.
Yep. And then they put together some questions around our finances, our facilities. So we'll present all of those to the board to finalize them, and then when we meet next, that will be our work, is creating that, getting that survey ready to go. And we'll start working on the actual strategic plan document. Okay, well, thank you. So I'm not gonna put a next meeting, I'm gonna put January.
Just put January and I'll send it out when we have it for sure.
Yeah, and Rebecca will send out.
The strategic plan's the 9th, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes, for those of you who like to spend a lot of time with me, and we are meeting on the 9th. All right, well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you for dinner.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. I will share.
Thank you.
I was like, no, I like mine.
I'll share this agenda with everybody.
More meat than filler.
Yep.
It's the key.
It is the key. I only had a half cup of breadcrumbs for the whole clothes, so very little filler. And I don't use egg in it either.
The 9th next week, right?
Yep.
Okay, let's see if I can get that one.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. It's good to see you, Jennifer.
Uh, 5:30 as well?
My husband coached him. So I'm like, I'm still picturing your house.
Oh, yeah. Driveway and running out.
Okay.
Did I draw something about?
We had a sign on this place earlier.
Yeah, that's right.
You should see it now, actually, at all audience.
Both. Do you want, she's emailing it out.
Oh, yeah, no, I was gonna say.
I put, yeah, which I'm gonna update hers, but I wrote,
Bye, Christine. Have a good night.
I know it's not gonna make a whole
The
lot of
Mentor
difference
Hill.
at the high school, but Cooney
Mentor
Plaza
was
Academy
this one hill, I
next
think
year, I
was
think
here.
it's next year, is gonna start 9th grade, and then they're gonna do 10th the following, and so they're gonna start doing some high school,
Oh,
which
yes,
probably won't
nosy.
pull much
Okay.
from us, but
But yeah,
They
I'll
are-
add that in, update her
they are
notes.
gonna start doing high school, I think 1 year at a time anyhow, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
AJ Holmes Avenue.
Yes, we walked in, I'm like,
Oh,
that's why it sounds familiar.
Well, I'm trying to decide, is this actually our
Yeah, sometimes I'm a little slow. That's alright. That's alright. I'm the same way, I like to